Now we have BlaBlaCar. Philippe, please come on stage. Nicolas sends his apologies.
Thank you, Marco.
I think it's the 6th or 7th NOAH for BlaBlaCar, so very glad to have you.
Here we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Philippe, and I would like to share with you a story of transformation that will echo some of the themes that Fabrice mentioned earlier. Our transformation from a carpooling platform into a leader in multimodal shared road travel. The story starts with our community. Casual drivers who share their empty seats on long-distance journeys with passengers going the same direction in exchange for splitting the cost. Our community is big and growing fast, currently reaching 75 million members, and they're very active. Last year, together, they carpooled 22 billion kilometers. And this matters to us because the more people we can put in the same number of cars, the more we save on emissions. And last year, the community together saved 1.6 million tons of CO2. We operate in 22 countries, most of Europe, and places like Russia and Brazil. And in each of those markets, we are the #1 long-distance carpooling product. This is because of the benefits of network effects, but also because people love our product. So we benefit from a very high global NPS of 60 and high retention rate. So this means that we own essentially 90% of our traffic. This, in turn, drives low marketing costs and low CACs. And essentially, what we've built to date is a very powerful demand magnet for cheap passenger demand globally. So last year, we captured 660 million travel intents. And the reality today is we only serve a fraction of that demand. So our mission now is how can we better serve that demand through improving carpooling and through creating a new vertical on the marketplace. Looking at the finance side of things, 2018 was a big year for us. We reached profitability, although we only monetize 55% of our activity. So as we monetize more countries this year and the year after next, we shall deploy more resources for our next phase of growth. We also, thanks to a transaction and a round we did at the end of last year, we'll have essentially 170 million in cash at the end of June, which again will help us fund the transformation. And the game changer for us is now growing a bus offer across all our geographies. We'll do this in different ways depending on the region. In Western Europe, we're in the process of acquiring WeBus, French bus company. And we launched last Tuesday, actually, our new brand, BlaBlaBus, with the first bus on the road in Lyon. BlaBlaBus will become the main bus brand, so we'll rebrand everything. And it is an asset-light model, right? We decide timetable, prices, but we subcontract all the transport operations. What was striking to us is, obviously, we're playing with complementary audiences, but also complementary use cases. So if you want to book your trip a long time in advance, or if you have a lot of luggage or want to travel as a group, it's interesting to play with the two products. But the most striking thing for us was the complementarity in networks. If you look at the example of France, for instance, you have roughly 200 main bus stations, but on the carpooling side, we serve 250,000 pickup and drop-offs every month. So buses are really good at big flux of people between big cities. Carpooling is really good at what car is, this freedom of going from little specific points to other specific points. The business version of this is, if you look at the split of revenues, for a company like WeBus, 74% of revenues are generated on the top 100 routes. For BlaBlaCar, it's the opposite. 80% of our activity is generated on the long tail. The acquisition of WeBus was essentially a way for us to accelerate our growth in the bus in Western Europe. And now we're going to scale that network throughout Europe, reaching about 400 destinations by the end of this year, including 60 here in Germany. The first 10 lines are already open on our website, and we have very attractive 99 cents per seat prices for this summer. In other countries, we see a different reality. So basically, outside of Western Europe, we see a field of very fragmented bus operators, which are mostly distributed offline. So here, the point for us is to accompany that transition from offline to online. And through our strength in carpooling, we're already either the biggest online road travel platform or one of the biggest. So for us, it's for us to aggregate the bus demand and basically serve that to our audience. We're doing this in Russia. Typically, in Q1, we added 113 operators on the platform, and as you can see here, as the seasonality kicks in the summer, we'll see very high growth on that activity. Now, all of this works best if we can keep improving carpooling and the proximity factor of carpooling. We launched last year a specific new algorithm, which we call point-to-point, which essentially calculates the trajectory of each driver and the acceptable detour for him. This, in turn, makes that journey bookable for a passenger on any potential subsegment. So we're creating a massive new inventory that doesn't really have competition. Between Wildenfels and Nuremberg, you wouldn't find direct buses or direct trains. So what's interesting here is we can create something very unique for carpooling, and we can reach a new usage. Today, this is 25% of the usage of carpooling in most mature countries, but we think we're only scratching the surface because we haven't started playing with detour and pricing, and obviously, pricing helps with your matching rates. We're also further working on carpooling use case with short-distance commuting product, BlaBlaLines, which tackles the daily home-to-work use case. And we apply the same logic of point-to-point and finding the right way to match drivers and passengers. Now, interestingly here, we're matching passengers with a recurring pool of drivers, so it's a very high-frequency product, and we're reaching 10 times per month frequency on that product. We've launched that in France. It's growing very well. We'll be scaling this further in France and in other countries. So if I'm going to leave you with one message, it is that we are gearing up to be the go-to place for shared road travel globally. And this matters to us because we help saving on CO2 emissions, and we make traveling easier and more convenient for millions of people. Thank you.